Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to RPG Horror Stories. Now, I really want to thank you guys for all the outpouring of love and support, all the people who are joining the Discord. I fucking love you guys. And listen, we're what, like 6 people right now away from getting to the Old Man Henderson tale? This blows my fucking mind. I've only been doing this for like a month and a half, I think. And just to see how many people are watching this, see how many people are liking the videos and joining the Discord, interacting with the community, it really does warm my heart. So, let's get on with the video. Player's so obsessed with one campaign setting, and one race in particular, that she gets tunnel vision. Thanks for the information. Hello everybody, I'm not sure if this counts as an RPG horror story per se, but it is worth a shot. For a little bit of context, I started playing D&D back in 1999, 2000-ish, when 2nd edition was slowing down and 3rd edition was right around the corner. When I joined this person's campaign, I knew nothing about D&D or the Forgotten Realms, but I know better now. My dungeon master was Sarah. She was a great storyteller and very knowledgeable of the rules. She loved the Forgotten Realms and thought the Drow were super awesome. For me, no red flags yet, but I didn't know better. Over the years, however, I learned more about the setting and the Drow, and I discovered a lot of things were wrong. But there were 2 big things. First, almost all the Drow in her setting were good. A PC couldn't sneeze without a Drow priestess of Elistrai saying, "Bless you." To go with that, her Drow pantheon, which had about 6 good deities in Lolth, had temples pop up almost like Pokemon centers in these games. They were everywhere. Second, she was obsessed with Drizzt. She Mary sued herself into Faerun as a silver dragon who was married to Drizzt, and has children all across the continent. Why are these details important? Because she was so obsessed with Drow and Faerun that if she was invited to other games, the conversation would go something like this. "Hey, I'm about to start up a campaign. Are you interested?" "Can I play a Drow?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I'm running Dragonlance. Drow don't exist." "Why are you running Dragonlance? You know I like Faerun." "Because this is my campaign, not yours." "Can I make a Drow and say I somehow plane shifted from Faerun?" "No." "And the game plane shift to Faerun?" "No." "Then I'm not playing." Okay, bye. Eventually, people just stopped inviting her to games, because this would be the conversation every time. Even non-D&D games would have this conversation. She even went so far as to try and convince me to let her Drow in 3rd edition L5R. Stats made up and everything. To my knowledge, now the only time she can play her precious Drow in her precious setting is when she plays D&D with the 2 people she hasn't pissed off with her obsession. Too long didn't read. Player is so obsessed with Drow and Forgotten Realms that she refuses to play literally anything else. So I think that this is more of an issue of her being obsessed with the idea of the Drow. You know, effectively elves that have mutated from living in the Underdark. And I think she would lose her shit if she read up on it, because, actually, one second, let me just make sure I'm right on this, because I was wrong on Reddit the other day. I had confused 2 events, but before I say anything, let me just look this up to make sure I'm correct. Yeah, no, this doesn't make any sense to me as to, like, what she's doing, because she would have to be playing pre-Spellblade for Drow churches to have anything other than Lolth, because the Church of Lolth systematically destroyed everything in 1375, ending their destruction of the churches around 1385, having concluded their conquest of the Drow faith. So this was basically right before Spellblade started. and they were all in Undermountain by this time, and so they're not even like the Drow that we know and love. They're basically just Dark Elves. They're just normal-ass Dark Elves, not really adapted to the dark very well yet. It doesn't make sense. I believe her obsession does have to do with a lack of lore-based knowledge. Because if she knew the lore of the Dark Elves, she would know, one, Lolth's church destroyed fucking everything. They're called the Drow because they betrayed their kingdom way back during the fall of the Netherese Empire, during the Crown Wars, and that, well, they went into the Underdark basically right before Spellplague started, and Spellplague had mutated them to what we know and understand as the Drow race currently. So this tunnel vision, it's not even tunnel vision, it's laziness. If she knew this history, she would not be playing Drow. Abso-fucking-lutely. Hell, the word that Drow comes from, Dero, is an elven word for traitor of the state. So, does she just really have a thing for traitors? I don't know. She might get a knife in her back soon, though. That's a certainty. Oh man, you know the game, you know the rules. How much butter can we fit? Sexist that guy thinks he can treat me like he treats his NPCs. Trigger warning for sexual assault. We're gonna start with one because of the title. As a reminder for those of you who are new to the videos or haven't seen me play the Butter Me Up game yet, well, here are the rules. Whenever we see a that guy post, we will put butter on ourselves. A starting pat of butter for that initial that guy reference. From then on, to measure the power of that guy in the post, every time that the post says that guy, I have to put more butter on myself. And at the end, we know about how strong they are in terms of how much of a dickwad they are. Or, in other words, butter. We can measure the power of that guy in butter. On with the post! So, it's been a while since this happened, and I'm finally ready to share. For a bit of background, I, 17-year-old female, have been playing D&D for 2 years now. Primarily online because pandemic. This story takes place earlier this year, when I was 16. I had been playing with another group, but I didn't find it exciting anymore, and it no longer fit with my schedule. That's when my boyfriend, 18 male at the time, invited me to join a campaign in his group that he was DMing on the weekends. It had an interesting premise and fit my schedule, so I agreed. He ran a one-shot for me to meet the guys in the Discord server. There was only one other active girl in the server at the time. I met all the guys except one. The subject of this story. Close, you're cutting it close. And I liked them well enough. They were your typical weed dudes in their late teens, so they were annoying but funny and still tolerable. My boyfriend had warned me about the guy that I did not meet. From what he said, he was your stereotypical angsty, that guy, plus one butter. So I was on a edge quite a bit, but I still tried to have fun. My first session went well, and I ended up rolling with the guys pretty nicely. We have the Barbarian, the Blood Hunter, the Vampire who owned the server, and the Rogue, our that guy, plus one butter. And that guy looks like he's gonna be stronger than the sword from yesterday. I played a fighter that I was honestly very proud of. The only thing that I didn't like was that Rogue had this thing in the second session where he tried to start a PvP within, it was, and still is pretty common for the guy to do this, but I personally was not the one. We had a minor conflicting character, and I found it annoying, but I didn't think anything else of him at the time. That was until the party took a rest stop in an oasis. Trigger warning for sexual assault active from this point on, so if you have some past traumas and you don't feel comfortable hearing the rest of the video, go ahead, feel free, click off, it's no worries. The party came to the rest stop, and we all went into a hot springs with 2 female NPCs. In the server, I see the rogue roll a D3 unprompted with the dice bot. After this, he and the DM made some comments, and the DM described how I felt something underneath the water. I was in shock and refused to believe that was what I thought happening, but it was true. I asked for clarification as to what I felt, and he told me I was being fajangled. Putting 2 and 2 together, I asked Rogue, "Are you using Mage Hand?" He confirmed. I went quiet. It was then asked to roll a constitution check to hold back my moans. I explained that there was nothing to hold back because I wasn't moaning, and I didn't want this. I told them that my character leaves the pool, and I leave the call shortly after. OP did the correct thing here. I can't say that OP did anything wrong, because this was literally, like, out of the fucking blue. That guy literally just grabbed her by the pussy with Mage Hand. He literally pulled a trump on her with Mage Hand. Don't do this, guys. But if this happens to you, because there's really not a way to see it coming a lot of the times, you're going to end up having tunnel vision because it's an RPG. Maybe you'll catch the red flags, but in the experience I've had reading these stories, nobody fucking catches the red flags in time. Apparently, it was common behavior for Rogue to do this with various NPCs in other previous campaigns, which is bad enough, but for some reason, he decided to include a real player character in his debauched plan. The D3 roll was to decide which one of the 3 female characters in the pool to grope, if you didn't catch that. Even worse, he was one of the oldest members of the group, being 19 or 20 while I was 16, although I didn't know if he knew my age, to be fair. Gross! Statutory rape, anyone? I was in utter shock that I shut down for the rest of the night, and I couldn't talk to anyone for hours. It was honestly a triggering event, as I have had previous struggles with sexual assault. I cried myself to sleep that night, and probably would have left the server if they didn't handle the situation how they did. Vampire server owner and his girlfriend, the other active girl in the server, checked up on me as well as my boyfriend. He felt really guilty for letting it happen. Rogue never really apologized to me, but according to my boyfriend, he did feel really bad. No one else reached out to me from the server. In the end, Rogue got banned from the server for 3 months. Not long enough in my opinion, but I appreciated it. And my character got to sentence his character to death in the next session. I stayed with the group and I still play with them. He's back now and I still make comments about it occasionally, but we all still play together. Hopefully he has learned his lesson. It took me a while to get comfortable with him again, but now that we've been in a few campaigns together, including one of my own, I don't really know how to conclude this. It feels weird still, because it isn't technically real, but it still affected me a lot. I guess I also want to see if I'm not alone, and if anyone else has also had any similar experiences. Some side notes. First, he and my boyfriend are still together. He was there to comfort me afterwards, and he deeply regrets what he did. 2. I still don't know if Rogue did in fact learn his lesson. We don't really talk much. 3. The other guys did condemn what he did and frequently make fun of him for it, but they are still friends with him. And 4. I am mostly healed from the situation now, and it doesn't hurt as much anymore. So I am glad to hear that you haven't been hurt as deeply by what happened here as you could possibly have been. It is great to know that you're healing. Now, I also want to reassure you, OP, because you've done everything right here that you could possibly do. That guy in this situation will never live this down. Guy groups tend to not let shit like this go, because when you have a group of guys, they tend to really hammer home the respect on women between each other. It's fine to make the sexual remarks between the other members of the group, but they tend to not want to say it to the woman's face because they have a lot more respect than they might let on. Now, he's going to be dealing with this for the rest of his life. He's going to be like 80 years old, and they're going to be joking about that time that he fucking Trump mage-handed one of your friends. Yeah, right? It's not a thing he's going to live down. Now, I also want to say, interestingly enough, our that guy for today has a butter level of 3, so he's actually equivalent to that guy from yesterday. I guess there's something to be said when you make a single bit of sexual assault versus absolute space tasering. Apparently that's equal, but I feel like this doesn't do it justice, so I'm gonna cheat it a little bit, and I'm gonna give him a butter score of 4. Because, quite frankly, that guy in this case doesn't deserve lower than 4. This dude literally Trump-handed a lady with Mage hand and thought that was fine. So, that's all I have for today. Much love and stay sexy, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye!